Welcome back, everybody. We are still working with fractions. This is our fourth video, so 1.2D. We're still working with fractions, and here we're going to do multiplying and dividing. So what I had a second ago, where we were getting a common denominator, and I had, let's just say I have 2/3 and 3/4. When I multiplied the top by the other one, the other denominator, I'm just doing this one out real quick for you. We get 8 plus 9 over 12 is 17 over 12. I multiplied the top and the bottom, and the reason why I can do that, I didn't explain why, because it goes really into multiplying first. Remember, we said that any number divided by itself equals 1. So what I'm doing when I multiply two fractions, let's say I've got A on bottom, or A on top, B on bottom. I'm going to multiply by C on top and D on bottom. This is the same thing as A times C over B times D. My B looks like a 6. I'm going to use a big B. So what I was doing here was I was doing 2 over 3 times 4 over 4. Well, 4 over 4 is multiplying by 1. What I'm doing is multiplying 2/3 multiplying by 1. Multiplying by 1, anytime we took a value and multiplied by 1, we got back the original value. So I'm not changing the value of 2/3. What I'm doing is just writing it with a common denominator. I'm showing it in its equivalent form. So this would be 8 on top and 12 on bottom. 2/3 and 8/12 are called equivalent fractions. So that's what I was doing when I was multiplying and dividing. And that's what we do with any sort of fraction that we want to multiply or divide. If I've got 3 over 7 and I want to multiply it by 11 over 12, this is 3 times 11 over 7 times 12. This is 33 on top and 84 on bottom. Notice that if I want to simplify, I have to refactor them again. So don't do this. Don't go straight to the product. Or don't go straight to multiplying. Product is the outcome of multiplication. So instead, factor here. 3 and 11 are both prime already. 7 is prime, but 12 was 4 times 3. And 4 even breaks down into 2 times 2 if I need it. In this case, I didn't need it. I could have left it as the 4. If you don't want to factor all the way down, but sometimes it's hard to tell if you've got everything. It's good to get down to the prime factors. These cancel and leave behind a 1. I'm left with 11 on top with 7 times 2 times 2 on bottom. 33 over 84 in reduced form is 11 over 28. So that's multiplying and dividing, or multiplying. Let's take a look at dividing. If I have 7/9 divided by 2/3, what I can do is I can change this to multiplication if I flip this number. This is called the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 2/3. That is the reciprocal of 3/2. So you multiply by the reciprocal. So if I do that, now I'm going to use a dot, not an X. This turns into 7 times 3 on top and 9 times 2 on bottom. I am going to factor first. 7 and 3 are prime already. But 9 is not. 9 is 3 times 3. I can only cancel out them in pairs. I have 7 times 1 on top, 3 times 1 times 2 on bottom. This is 7/6. This leads to confusion for students. And the biggest confusion is multiplying, dividing versus add, subtract. With multiply and divide, we use both denominators in our so I had to have 3/5 times 1/3. I have 5 times 3 is 15 on bottom. Let me change that to a 2. That way I don't reduce. Both numbers were involved. When I add or subtract, and we have common denominators. If I add 2/5 plus 3 or 1/3, I multiply each by the other denominator. Maybe I shouldn't have done that as the example. Bad example. Common denominator. 4/7 plus 5/7. When the denominator is the same, we don't use both denominators. I'm going to write bottoms because denominator is not going to fit there. So pay attention for that. When you add or subtract and you have a common denominator, you only have this number once. You're not adding. It's not 7 plus 7 here. Don't do that. All right, there's one other idea in this section. It's related to these numbers. It's mixed numbers. I'm gonna do it real quick. Two and 3/4 is the same thing as 2 plus 3/4. And to add these, I need a common denominator. So I will multiply the 2 is the same as 2 over 1. So these two are identical because 2 divided by 1 is still just 2. But this allows me to write it as a fraction, and now I can multiply by the other denominator to get a common denominator. I have 8 over 4 plus 3 over 4, which is 11 over 4. So 2 3/4 equals 11 over 4. If you want to go the other way, if I have 15 over 7 and I want to write it as a mixed number, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide 7 into 15. It goes in twice. 2 times 7 is 14. I have 1 left. The 2 is the whole number. The 1 is the numerator. And the denominator stays the same. 15 over 7 equals 2 1/7. So if you have to add or subtract, even multiply or divide mixed numbers, just switch to a fraction. And when the top is bigger than the bottom, it's actually called an improper fraction, but I don't know if the homework sets test you on that or ask you about that. I don't think so. All right, that'll be it for this video. I do have one more topic in here. It's percents. I'm going to do another video for percents. Peace.